Hi, thanks for tuning in to Turn to the Stars. My name is Andrea and I am an astrological counselor and a shamanic practitioner from the local area. And on Turn to the Stars today, I'm going to be talking about the full moon that is energy which is coming our way, which is actually occurring this Sunday, November 17th. And so today's show is entitled Full Moon, Taurus, November 17th, and an awareness of values. Taurus is the sign that is all about values, what we own, our money, our value systems, our core value systems. I mean, there's many different types of values, and with this full moon coming in, the energy of it as it applies, that means throughout this week, as that full moon in the sky, that light of that we see of the full moon, as it grows each day, so will our experiences. And astrology, as you know, is a map of the universe, and what happens out there does affect us. The influences and the potential are certainly there and will be growing in their intensity emotionally this week. And it's this full moon energy does sort of draw a picture. I use these Sabian symbols, which you've heard me talk about before on Turn to the Stars, and they are just another way of providing further insight into the degree of the energy that's building. And such as this full moon is going to be at 25 degrees of Taurus and 28 minutes in the constellation of Taurus. So the Sabian symbol is, imagine this, a picture of a Spaniard serenading his señorita. So we're going to talk more about that influence and what that picture draws as we progress into the show. But first I want to talk a little bit about November. Today is November 12th, and I had a little respite last week, so didn't get to talk about the solar eclipse and that occurred on November, at the beginning of November. And I also want to talk about, as November progresses, November in the very beginning began on November 2nd with the fourth square occurring, exact square between Pluto and Capricorn and Uranus and Aries. And that energy is deeply tied in with the heart chakra center, or the heart of all beings on earth. And we are all affected through the heart center with this fourth square. And what it's doing is, if you can imagine this energy, what it's influencing is the heart to open up, this center of everybody's being. And it's opening up and sort of spilling out the energy or the things that have been trapped there, sort of like a clearinghouse, an opening of the heart. And what I see it doing is refilling with core values, the core values of love. And for us to remember that compassion is much, much more important than condemnation. And so this is going to be between November 2nd, which we're already into the start of this energy, beginning to have its influences to us here on Earth. This is going to be with us between November 2nd and April 21st of 2014. This heart chakra and everything to do with the heart is going to be sort of under the microscope, under the magnifying glass. And one of the things I want to say about this energy is that so many people know that prayer is the way that we talk to our divine guidance, but so many people don't think about how do we hear guidance? How do we get that understanding, or how do we hear that voice of our divine guidance? And meditation or shamanic journey work are some of those ways, And it's very important to be able to hear. And I want to show you a picture which is the first picture in a series of pictures I'll be showing you today. And this one here, actually, if you look at the fourth over to the side, the green chakra and the human form, it is what I was talking about, November 1st, November 2nd, where we had that fourth square between Pluto and Uranus over a period of 2012 through 2015. We're having 7 of these exact squares. These are 2 power planets. You saw me talk about these this spring on TV, and how important this is toward the all the changes that we're experiencing here on Earth. So the heart is the love chakra, or the area that you see on that screen, connected with the heart. So I just wanted to show you that quick picture, because this November 2nd, fourth square that occurred between Pluto and Capricorn is showing us this status quo that, we're working to sort of get rid of. It brings this status quo to our attention. So many people think that, status is so important. It is to some degree, but if you look at the list of the value systems, what order do they come in? And so it does bring our attention to this fourth chakra energy, or the heart center. And without reminders that we are in a period or in a time on Earth of great change, without reminders, would we do anything to change what's going on? Would we do anything to change the status quo? That's what Pluto and Capricorn is doing. Uranus in Aries is making the animal within each one of us submit, and the animal within is rebelling. We're seeing that everywhere, all over the news. There's basically a revolution going on within the self of all beings. And Uranus is truly an energy of rebellion or awakening, and Aries is the self. And this was an inspiration that I had, or an aha moment about Uranus and Aries, and just shedding some more information about that. And moving on into November began November 3rd, we had a annular solar eclipse that turned into a total solar eclipse on November 3rd. And it was at 11 degrees and 12 minutes of Scorpio, and it was really seen fully over Africa and parts of the eastern coast. And I'm going to play a little video for you, which is bringing to light where we're going. This solar eclipse marked a time where we're at right now of great intensity and grandeur. And it promised us a new direction. This new direction would be fortunate, beneficial, supporting us in transforming our identity. However, it is energy that is still settling. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video just to kind of give you a glimpse of what the rest of the show is going to be about. So enjoy that. I'll be right back. So the energy of this full moon that is growing this week is certainly, I see it as us serenading the beauty of the world that is around us. And the value of that, Taurus is truly about the earthly values, about our material values, but it's also about our core values, the values that we learn as a child. And the solar eclipse marked the time of a new beginning on November 3rd, and every single day the energy is finding its place to sit or its place to integrate, marking these new beginnings in our lives. These times, we've got this shifting going on in November, this theme that is beginning to paint itself, and it's showing us where we're going to be going over the course of the next 6 months. So what I have is this first picture I'm going to show you is November 3rd was the solar eclipse, and that was the theme finding its way, this theme of change that was coming into our lives between November 3rd and November 17th. The energy that we are experiencing presents a theme and brings the awareness of the changes to light. And that's what that full moon does. It brings an awareness of these changes to full light, to full awareness. And the next slide, I'm going to sort of take you on a little journey here, because a solar eclipse promises a theme of change that's going to grow in experience in your life over the course of the next 6 months. So that solar eclipse this month is a time where that theme is finding its seat in our lives. It's integrating. And December 2nd, the new moon that occurs in December, presents an opportunity for this theme of change to grow and bring more awareness into our lives between that time of December 2nd through the 17th, when the full moon is. This December month, the energy begins to blossom. It begins to grow just a little bit, and we get to have that opportunity to see what changes are coming our way. And the next slide is January. Here we are into our 3rd month of this theme of change, and the experiences that come with it, whatever was promised in your birth chart, wherever this solar eclipse occurred. This would be the month, January 1st through January 15th, where we would see that the challenges, if there were challenges along this path that were promised by that theme of that solar eclipse, this is the time where the challenges, we get to see much more clear what these challenges are, and it asks us to accept them, to work with them, to integrate them so we can overcome them. And by the time of January 15th, we have quite a full awareness emotionally of what these challenges are. And the very next slide, or the 4th month into this, theme of change, is January. Starting January 30th, we have another new moon, and this is the month that I call the turning point, where we have this full realization and openings for acceptance of the theme of these changes to come to full awareness. It's truly a month where there's a gift of realization, and we turn the corner, so to speak. And it's interesting because February 14th is going to be a full moon, and that is Valentine's Day. And so it's going to be quite an emotional time, Valentine's Day. And now going into the 5th month, which is truly a time where March 1st, and I have a slide right there, March 1st, there's a new moon, and this is the 5th month. Between March 1st and March 16th, this is a month that we find ourselves finishing up, adjusting and integrating all the changes that we've experienced. And there's an awareness that it's time for some completion. We're preparing for what's next, because the next month, come the end of March, we're going to see another eclipse coming in. So I have the full calendar of what this change looks like. I'm going to put that up on the screen right now. this full calendar of planetary influences basically maps out your next 6 months of change. Now, this is an overview. It's something I do and I offer to my clients, but we talk about personally how these themes are of change that are coming into their lives. We talk about this, but this is a map that can help anybody through this to map out the next 6 months of your life. And so I think it's a really helpful sort of astrological planetary influence map, which can help you to map out the next 6 months of change in your life. And truly, this month, November, is a time where we're still seeing that theme. That picture is still getting painted in our lives, especially during the first part of the month, and the energy is just settling in and finding its place in our lives. Truly, this is an area of concrete and real hands-on stuff. Scorpio is intense energy. It is about our values and other people's values, and there's a lot of emotion attached with this energy. And it's very important for us to identify what doesn't work, identify things that emotionally may drag us down, and understand them so that we can evolve and work with this time of change rather than have it suck us in. And the next thing that occurred in November, on November 6th at 10:50 at night, the planet Jupiter, the biggest planet in our solar system, which is presently moving through the constellation of Cancer, was at exactly 20 degrees. It turned into this backward retrograde motion, and it will remain in that backward motion, taking us all on an internal search until March 6th of 2014. So November 6th, I wanted to give you a little story about an experience that I won't soon forget. I met a woman while I was out walking with my little dog Bunny at the Robert Frost Farm and Dairy, and she was so angry and felt so helpless to change the suffering that she was experiencing within her family. And all I could do was just to listen. Really, she needed someone just to listen to her. And she just was so angry that she was actually screaming with frustration. And she said to me, I'm thinking about going on TV and talking about this problem that my daughter is suffering from, that I'm worried is going to take her life. And she was so frustrated, and she said, do you have any idea of what I can do? And I said to her, maybe what's happening here is not about finding outside in the world the answers. Maybe the answers that you need are inside, and for your daughter as well are inside. And I mean, this is truly a Uranus and Aries thing, because Uranus is crazy, unusual, eruptions, and Aries is all about the self. And something I thought about is, which I talked with her about, I said, maybe it's not about going and looking everywhere that you can for answers. Maybe it's about looking inside. Maybe it's about stopping and just, learning to sit in quiet and reflect and find out the answers that you're seeking. Maybe they're inside of you. And I asked her if she knew how to meditate or how to journey. She said, no, I know how to pray, but I don't know how to meditate. And I said, well, how do you hear guidance? She goes, well, I feel, light and warmth around me, but I can't hear it. And I told her, I said, you know what? Go out and get yourself, put your favorite music on that relaxes you. And when you do that, just lay down and relax and see yourself in your most favorite spot in the world that you feel safe and secure. And I said, when you're there, just, ask for your divine guidance to come forward into that light with you, into that favorite space, and talk with them and see, there, from that space, from that quiet space, maybe that's where your answers are. And maybe that's what is the most important thing for you right now. And she said, I feel better already. So I just thought that I would share with you that so many of us, we know how to act, and we know how to give, but do we really know how to accept, and do we know how to hear? And this is part of what this time is about that we're living in. So many people alive have learned and live with a set of values that they're taught. It's truly, there's an incredible amount of love, and it's free, and it's all about accepting, feeling it, knowing it. Sometimes the only thing necessary is to stand in the light of love, and that's where your answers are. So I just thought I'd share that story because as Jupiter in Cancer, Cancer is about the family and protecting those that we love and keeping them safe and providing them with security. As Jupiter goes retrograde until March, from that day, November 6th, till March, we're on a search of how we can find our answers inwardly, within our shells, within our souls, within our own homes. So my advice is to look for that understanding, because out in the world, sometimes it's not about going out, it's about looking inside. And Jupiter is about understanding, about searching. And as it moves through this constellation of Cancer and goes backward, it invites us to look inside. So I thought that story might be one that everybody could benefit from. I certainly did, and I knew that this lady, all she really needed to do is to have somebody listen to her, because nobody was listening out in the world. And it just felt right to suggest that her answers were inside. So the next thing I want to talk about was November 10th. Mercury woke up. Mercury is the planet of logic and reason, and it had been retrograde from October, and it woke up from its retrograde period of providing us mind medicine. That's what I call Mercury retrograde, medicine for the mind. During that time, we have the gift of being able to go back over things that we were thinking about, that we were hoping to make decisions on, and to research them rather than take action on them. So it is very, it can be quite aggravating and frustrating to many people, because I don't know about you, but I'm not very good at driving my car backwards or backing up. We're so accustomed to going ahead. So November 10th was was an important marker of, okay, now we can start to move ahead and think about what we want to decide, make these decisions about the changes and where we're going with them. So, and I wanted to share you a little experience I had on that day that forced me to look into what I value and to decide how I would act based upon these values, which inspired today's show. And as you can see, today's show is about an awareness of values. And I'm not going to share with you the story that actually happened on that day, but it did inspire me to talk about values on today's show. And because this upcoming full moon that's coming this Sunday, and today is November 12th, November 17th is the full moon, will raise our awareness to what must change and to a truer sense of values. Material values and social status values truly have cloaked the eyes of so many who have put these values before a true sense of heart-centered core values. And that's a lot. That is very true. If you look around in the world, you look at our children and look at, what drives them and what's the most important in their lives. Their basic values of any human being, of any being, comes from our beginnings, our parents, and our early environment. And I'm going to show you a picture of the full moon. This is a picture of the full moon, and you can see the red arrow pointing to the moon over there on the left at 25 degrees of Taurus. This is November 17th. And this full moon, I mean, you see a whole lot of stuff going on there, and as you know, full moons, everybody talks about it. Oh my gosh, there's a full moon coming. People are going to act a little bit off the wall. People are going to act a little crazy because there is so much emotion attached to a full moon. So it does bring awareness to us, especially through areas where we've suffered and through experiences where we might have felt helpless to change. What we need to serenade and celebrate, because it nourishes a warm light in our hearts, which only grows in value every day. Now we see that full moon forming a square to Neptune. And of course, it's exactly opposite the sun. Full moons have light because the sun reflects straight at the moon and it gives it light. So what we see happening there is pretty much what I just talked about. It does bring the basic values to light for each and every one of us, which is what we learned in our early beginnings from our parents, our early environments. It brings to light core values, which are the fundamental beliefs of every person. And these are the guiding principles that dictate our behavior and actions. So how do we get in touch with our heart and our core values? This week is going to be really important as that sense of those values grows. You might spend some time this next week and continue past this full moon on November 17th, exploring what is at the core of your values. Think about your personal values. Think about your family values. Think about your social, cultural values, your material values, your spiritual values, your moral values, and most importantly, which one of these warms your heart center and gives you a feeling of being loved and at peace. And that's the one right there you probably want to sit and focus on, think about, explore, because Taurus is a very strong energy, and it is on the axis of what we call it is a fixed sign, and that means that it's solid, it is strong, and it will bring to light this sort of step by step throughout the week realization, awareness of what your true sense of values are. And remember, as I talked about, November is this new theme of change, incorporating into your day-to-day life. It is a time of incredibly intense transition, very sensitive, very emotional, very penetrating. And if you know anybody that's Scorpio, their energy is typically more quiet and reserved. There's a sense of reservation about Scorpio, and there's also this strong intensity of feeling and emotion that comes with it. So as this is finding a seat in your life, this incredible time of change, and realizing that it's taking us in a whole new direction, that it is going to be very fortunate. The light of this moon this week as it grows will help us to come to awareness of what our true core values are. So I hope that this week is a very beneficial one for everybody out there. And if we can just take a look at things from the positive side, if it's something that's hard, difficult to accept, sometimes it's just good to sit with it and take some time to understand it, and then see where that takes you and how it brings your true core values to light and your understanding of them. So I hope you have a great week. I want to say thank you for watching Turn to the Stars, for all your continued support, and until next week, take good care. I'll see you then.